So a while back when I was first starting this channel, my first video was about building a manual cup turner for under $20. And at that time, I did not know if tumblers was really going to be something I would really get into. I was really kind of up in the air about it. So fast forward to now, I definitely know that tumblers is what I want to do, and that's what brought me to this. I have now built my own 6-cup turner with switches, and I posted it up in my Facebook groups, and there was so much feedback. There was like, oh, Angie, tell me how you built this. What are your plans? Please share, share, share. And this is what this video is about. So, but let me preface this by saying you're not going to see any videos of me actually cutting the wood, drilling the holes, screwing any of the wood together. I was really focused on just getting this built, not on, I had actually had no intention of making a tutorial. But I am going to tell you everything that I used, all the wood, all the screws, the nails, all of the plumbing pieces, what type of motors I used. You're going to get a full and complete list. I'll tell you exactly how I wired my switches, specifically because they're smart switches and I didn't see this anywhere else. So let's jump right in, and the first thing we're going to go over is the build. Now, when I say build, I'm talking about the actual housing of everything, all of the wood that you see here. So we're going to go over that first. If you see me looking over here a lot, this is, I have my little cheat sheet out because I don't remember everything off the top of my head. I'm going to bring everything up on the screen here so you can take a screenshot of the full materials list. So I did all of my shopping at Home Depot except for one thing, and I'll get to that later. You can build this entire thing out of one piece of a 4x8 sheet of plywood. I did the 4x8 that is 3/4 inch thick. Okay, so that is what I use for mine. Your base, which is this part right here, it's going to be 48 inches by 24 inches deep. Okay, so 48 inches by 24 inches. Your support, which is these pieces, I'll bring the phone closer later, but there's 2 pieces of support. There's one here and there's one at the other side. Those are going to be 24 3/4 inches long by 4 inches wide. Okay, so 24 3/4 inches by 4 inches wide. Your back piece, which is the very back piece back here, that's going to be 48 inches wide by 7 3/4 inches, 48 inches long by 7 3/4 inches wide. Okay, your middle piece, which is this piece here, it's where your motors are mounted. Your middle piece is going to be 48 inches long by 7 inches wide. Your front piece, which is this piece here, it provides the support for your arms. That's going to be 48 inches long by 5 inches wide. And then your side piece, which is this piece here, there's another piece on the next side. I'm sorry I didn't get everything in one shot. Your side pieces, there's going to be 2 of them. They're going to be 48 inches long by 7 3/4 inches wide. Okay? And the last piece is your top piece. That's this piece here. It sits right in between your back and your middle. It's basically for your switches. That piece is going to be 48 inches long by 4.5 inches wide. Okay, so go ahead and take this time to take a screenshot of all of the materials for your housing. So now that we've gone over the build, I want to move over and go over the cutouts. And when I say cutouts, I mean the holes for your motors, the holes for your switches, and if you do so decide, the holes for your fans, which I have in the back. I'll turn this around and I'll show you guys that later. Now, the holes for your switches and the holes for your fans, that is going to be subjective to what you want on your particular turner. You don't have to have fans. However, these motors do get hot when they've been used, when they're continuously going. You can either use a fan or you can use what's called a heat sink. which would just attach right to the motor, and it would basically absorb the heat that the motor is kicking out. I just decided to use fans. So the first cutout I'm going to go over is the motor. And I'm going to, since I'm not showing you as I'm doing, I'm just going to put a little like drawing up on the screen so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. So what I did was, on my 48-inch piece of wood, I came in 4 inches from each side and I put a mark. So at 4 inches from each side, I put a mark. And then on the first hole, I came down and I did a mark at 3 inches. So 4 inches in from the side, 3 inches down from the top. That mark is the middle of my first motor. Okay? And so on the other side, where I also came in 4 inches and came 3 inches down, is the mark for my last motor. And then in between each mark is 8 inches. So from here to here, 8 inches, 8, 8, 8, 8. It evenly spaces them out, and it gives me enough space in between them, so where if I'm turning a cup that has a handle on it or something like that, I won't have to, you know, be fearful that it's going to touch the cup that's next to it. So that's what I did for my motors. That's the markings for the motors. So again, 4 inches from the side, 3 inches from the top, 8 inches in between each mark. Okay, so from the middle of the first mark you made to the next mark is 8 inches. When you are drilling the hole for this motor, now I had to use a drill bit on my power drill. That is an option, or if you have access to, I believe it's called a drill press, where you just pull the lever down and it makes the hole for you. That's probably a lot easier, but I didn't have access to that. So you want to make sure that if you're using, that when you're drilling your hole, you're using a 2-inch bit. It has to be a 2-inch bit. You cannot use a 2 1/8 inch bit because it will be too big and you won't be able to mount your motors. Okay, so I'm telling you, learn from my mistake, because I didn't pay attention to who I learned from, who said the same thing. I tried to use a 2 1/8 and it didn't work. Okay, so use a 2-inch hole saw bit. All right, so that's it for the motors. Now, when it comes to the cutouts for your switches, I am using smart switches, and I knew that I wanted my switches to be grouped together in 2s. Now, the cutout, so some people, they just want, you know, they want their one switch to be horizontal and they want to switch over each arm. It's completely up to you. Just know that when you are drilling your hole, your cutout for your switch, you just need to make sure it's enough space for the box of the switch to sit down in it. And I personally wouldn't want it to be snug, so just make sure there's enough room. My particular switches, I had to use a cutout that was 2 inches by 3 inches. If I keep looking over here, it's because that's my little cheat sheet. But my cutouts were 2 inches by 3 inches for my smart switches. Okay. Now, as for this support piece right here, I do not have exact measurements for you. I'm sorry. All I know is that it's 48 inches long and I made it at 5 inches high. Now I did end up cutting it, of course, because I made it 5 inches, so I made sure I had enough space. The thing is, I don't know, and I haven't learned how to, and I'm sorry, I don't have this information. I did not know how to measure where exactly to put the support. So what I'm talking about is this little divot here that's in the wood. I didn't know how to measure that because it's not like the piping is coming out from the middle of the motor. It comes out from the top of the motor. So when I did it, I literally had to like hold the piece up here and take a piece of PVC and try and figure out where it went. The only thing I can tell you is that when you, again, I used a power drill and a hole saw bit. The only thing I can tell you is use a 1-inch hole saw bit. So what I did was I had my 5-inch piece. After I made my markings, I used the whole bit. I drilled my hole, and then I used my jigsaw and cut down to the hole. Then I used my circular saw and brought it so that it was a half moon, half hole, whatever you want to call it. I wish I had more for you there. I just, like I said, this is my first time doing this, so I didn't have it. So my apologies for that, but yeah. So as far as the cutouts here for the fans, like I said, you don't have to use fans. You can use a heat sink. You can use nothing at all. You can set up your turner where your motors are not housed in something. They're not encased. That is completely up to you. But I decided to use fans. So what I did is I came in 15 3/8 inch from, 15 3/8 inch from each side. I made a mark, and then I came up 1.5 inch from the bottom and made a mark, and I did that on each side, and that represented the middle of my circle. So after I made that middle mark, around that middle circle, I made a 4 3/4 inch square. So I took my point that I made. I went 2 3/8 inches on each side. That put a 4 3/4 inch square around that middle point that I initially made. And then, because I don't have a protractor or anything like that, I just took the paint can, set it up in the middle of the square, and I knew that by lining it up in the middle of the square, it lined up in the middle where that first point was, and I just drew a circle around the paint can. And this is about 4 inches. So then I did that, and I used that, and then I cut out the actual circle with my jigsaw. So that was how I got my circles for my fans. And then you just mount the fans like normal, drill your holes and go from there. So now that we've covered the build and we've covered the cutouts, now we can move on to the arms. I'm going to first show you the actual arm itself, and then I'm going to bring you in closer so I can show you about attaching the arm to the motor. So if you haven't been able to notice, I actually have 2 different arms here. I have one that I plan on using for the larger cups, and then I have the next one that I plan on using for the smaller skinny cups. So let's get a little closer. So this piece here, this is the one that I was talking about using for the larger cups. This is the only piece that I did not get at Home Depot. This piece I actually had to get from Lowe's. I could have gotten it from Home Depot, but it would have had to been ordered. They don't sell it in store. So this piece here, give me a second. This piece here is a 2-inch to 1.5 inch donut. So this is a 2-inch to 1.5 inch donut. And again, I'm going to list everything out on the screen. So a 2-inch to 1.5 inch donut. For the smaller one, and when I say smaller, I'm talking about like your skinnies and your coffee mugs and stuff like that. This is a 2-inch to 1.5 inch coupling. Now this piece originally comes with 2 of these metal pieces on it. There's one here and one here. I took this off. It makes it easier to go down into the cup. If you leave this on after you put in this piece is a 1.5 inch to 3/4 inch bushing. After you put the bushing into the coupling, you can tighten this here with a regular flathead screwdriver, and it makes it very secure on your bushing. Now, aside from this donut and this coupling, everything else on the arms is the same. Okay. So we'll use this one. This is, like I said, 2-inch to 1.5 inch donut. This here is a 1.5 inch to 3/4 inch bushing. All of the piping that I use is 3/4 inch PVC. You can use 1/2 inch. I just feel more comfortable using 3/4 inch. I just feel like it's, you know, it's more sturdy. So you have your bushing, okay? Your bushing is, it has a thread, it's threaded inside of the bushing. What you then take is this piece here. This is a 3/4 inch male thread adapter. The 3/4 inch male thread adapter. And you use PVC glue. That's how you get it to go, like, to twist all the way down. And usually if it's dry, it won't, you'll notice if you've ever dealt with this stuff before on a turner, it won't twist all the way in. But when you just put a little bit of PVC cement on here, it screws just about all the way down in. So a 3/4 inch male threaded adapter with a smooth female end, because in here you're going to put in a piece of PVC, and then you're going to take another 3/4 inch male thread to female smooth and put it on the end. All of this is glued together. So on all of this I used PVC cement and glued it all down in to make this arm. And same with this arm. Like I said, the only difference between these two is one has the donut and one has the coupling, but everything is glued. Okay, so I made 12 of these. So if I'm working on a cup and I need one to dry, you know, I don't really run out of arms. You can make all of your arms from one piece, one 8-foot piece of the PVC. Okay. So now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the phone off the tripod. I'm going to bring you guys a bit closer so you can see exactly how to connect your arm to your motor. If you get these motors, a lot of these motors come with a 4mm coupling. That's this gold piece right here. From what I've seen from other videos, that 4mm coupling is not, it's not sufficient. So I actually ended up buying the 7mm couplings. It comes in, I believe it comes in a pack of 4, so you have to get 2 packs if you're doing, you know, more than a 4-cup turner. It also comes with a small screw to attach the coupling to the motor. But again, from other people's experience, that screw does not hold well. So I actually went and got these. These are called hitch pins. They slide right in, and these are 3/4 inch hitch pins. Okay, so I got them at Home Depot. They're actually sold individually, but they're only about 77 cents per hitch pin. So I got 6 of those. So now actually attaching, right? The first piece you want to get is this piece here. This is a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch female adapter. It's just this piece right here. 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch female adapter, and it's smooth on the inside of here. I can't take this apart because it's glued in. So what you do is you take your coupling, don't do it while it's on the motor, and don't put a hitch pin in it first. You take your coupling and you use a hammer and you hammer it into this piece here. I wonder if I can, I don't think I can actually get, can I get it? Oh, I think I can. So it's actually, it's just hammered in. I made sure that this was as flush as I could get it. And you also want to make sure that it's hammered in even. So when you hammer it in, just make sure it's even. All right. So hammer in your coupling to the 1/2 inch piece. And then what I did was I took a very small piece of PVC. I think I used maybe somewhere between like a 3/4 inch, somewhere between 3/4 inch and an inch, a very small piece of PVC, and I glued it into here. So this piece here, this is a 3/4 inch female smooth to threaded adapter. Okay, so this is smooth and this is smooth. And what I did is I just took a small piece of PVC pipe, and I glued it in there and I stuck it, because honestly I didn't know how else to do what I needed to do. I'm sure there's an easier way, but this is the way I did it. So you take a small piece of PVC, get some PVC cement, put a thin layer on, and then just squeeze these together. And as you can see, it really comes like almost close. So this piece, this female adapter here, that is smooth on this side and threaded on this side, allows you to easily have your arm and screw your arm in place. And that's that for mounting your, having your motor and the pieces that you need to be able to mount your arm to your motor. So as far as the arms in the back, right? You can do this a few different ways. I kind of wish that I would have mounted these on top. But that's only because of like the spacing that I have, and I kind of wish this could go up flat against my wall, but it still works how it is. So I'm not like too upset. So what I did was, this again, the arm is set up the same way as, let me take this part off so I don't confuse you guys. This arm is set up the same way as all the other arms are. What you'll need is this here. This I bought in the electrical department. It's called a 2-hole strap. Okay, you take the 2-hole strap. You'll need to get this piece here. I just spray painted it black because I knew that it's going to stay here. It's not going to continue to come off the way I just took it off. This is a, make sure I get this right. This is a 3/4 inch to 1/2 inch female adapter. So this here is threaded on the 3/4 inch side. It's smooth on the 1/2 inch side. It doesn't matter if it's smooth on the inside or not, but that's the one that I got, right? The 2-hole strap, it fits snugly around this 1/2 inch piece on the bottom. So before I even mounted it to the back piece here, I took the 2-hole strap, I put it on here, and I squeezed it as tight as I could. So that's that. That's the back piece, so that when I have a cup that maybe I just spray painted, or if I have a cup that I need to move off the front line because it's ready to just dry, I can take that and screw it in, and that's that. Simple and easy. This piece here, this piece I believe is 5 1/4 inches. This piece of PVC here, and that's on all of them. All of them are 5 1/4 inches. I just now realized I forgot to tell you guys that with the front. So that's it for the arms. So I just wanted to give you guys a closer look up at the back. Now, because I did not have all of the tools that I needed, getting this back piece on was a bit of a nightmare. So I do apologize. I'm not going to take it off, but I'm going to try to explain exactly how everything is attached on the back, right? So if you remember, this is your support piece. Your support is supposed to be 24 3/4 inches long by 4 inches wide. So if this was actually the length that it was supposed to be, you wouldn't see this gap up here. This would actually be flush, but I measured incorrectly. So when this is actually 24 3/4 inches long, what happens is your back piece here, it actually sits on top of the support. Okay, so it sits on top of the support, and then your back piece and your base make an L. on top of the support. That's why this has to be 7 3/4 inches, because it accommodates for the 3/4 inch thick piece of wood that is your base. So because I had issues, this is actually only 7 1/4. But if you can see here, if this had been 7 3/4, it would have met right here. And so the way this was supposed to be attached to the back is it was supposed to have wood screws at each corner, and it was just supposed to attach to the top and attach to the base that you saw. That's why that hole is there, because I had already done it, but then I had an issue, and you know, things happen. But as far as the wood screws, that is the only time that I use wood screws, except for when I attach the support to the base. So when I attach this piece, your support, to your base, I actually have 3 screws that come up from the bottom and attach the support to the base. Everything else is pocket screws. Okay. And the only other thing I want to point out about the back, if you notice, there is a cutout here and a cutout here. Now my particular setup right now, when you turn this around and it faces how it's supposed to, it attaches to my power strip here. But if I ever move, if I ever get a different space or what have you, and the wires have to come, you know, out the other end, I already have the hole here. And I don't have to worry about, you know, taking everything apart and cutting a new hole. So what I'm going to try and do here is just show you guys how I put everything together, or in what order I put everything together, and give you a little bit more insight into pocket holes, right? So the first thing that I did was I attached my side piece to my support. Now I know you see 2 pieces here. That's because I messed up my measuring, but as you may recall, in the beginning, I gave you the full measurement of this. This whole thing is 14 inches. Okay, so this would have been one 14-inch piece. It's flush on the back, flush on the side. So you just match up the back, match up the side, and screw it in. The way I got this on without wood screws is I use pocket screws. If you look down in here, down there, you'll see a pocket hole. You can buy the pocket hole jig off of Amazon. It's about $14. It comes with the jig and it comes with the drill bit. You can buy the pocket screws at Home Depot. Had this been all one piece, it would have just been one. It would have just been 2 pocket holes that I would have done. Again, make it flush on the side, make it flush on the back, and screw it in. So after you screw in your sides to your support, then you mount your base. The base, I actually used wood screws. There's 3 wood screws, so basically spread evenly apart, like 1, 2, 3, and I just came up from the bottom with wood screws. Aside from the back, that's the only place that I used wood screws. Everything else is pocket holes. It just hides the screws so well, and it gives you a much neater look. So after you put on your sides and then put on your base, the next piece you can do is your front. This front piece, again, if you come around and look, pocket holes. So I did pocket holes. I did 1, 2, 3. I did 4 pocket holes here, and then this pocket hole here would go into your side. Okay. So after you do this piece, then you can mount your middle piece. Now, when you do your middle piece, you'll just have to make sure that you measure properly. You need to come in, if you use the same dimensions that I did, you need to come in 5 1/4 inches from the back. So you would come in, so the front piece, I don't know if it'll focus, it might not focus, but the front edge of your middle piece would be at 5 1/4 inches in from the back. That gives you enough space for your 4 1/2 inch top and the 3/4 inch thickness of your back piece. And this is also with pocket screws, but it's not, my pocket screws aren't on this side. My pocket screws are on the other side. And I also did 1, 2, 3, 4. And then on the inside here, on the inside, you can't see it obviously. On the inside, there's a pocket screw that connects it to the side. Okay. So you've done your front, you've done your middle. The next you do is the top. The top is also pocket screwed into this middle piece. So on the back edge of my top piece, I have 4 pocket holes where I screwed it into this middle piece. And then again, you take a pocket hole on the side to connect it to the side pieces. And then the back is just put on with wood screws. It would be put on with wood screws at the 4 corners. Okay, so that is everything. You guys might have noticed the switch plates. The switch plates, they come white with these switches. I just spray painted them black and then put a decal over them. This one, I'm so upset. It's the most intricate, detailed one. This one, I put it on upside down, so I have to do it over. It's my favorite one. It's the most intricate, detailed one, but the plate won't snap on upside down. So I had to do that over. But anyways, that's that. So I kind of want to go over the cosmetics of everything as far as making it look how you want it to look. I knew I wanted a pink and black and gold theme. So I'm going to tell you what I used for that. But I just want to start here with the PVC cement. Again, I'll list everything on the side here. I used this PVC cement from Home Depot. It cost me about $6 and it worked out perfectly. Like I said, when I put you put a very small amount, a nice thin amount of glue on the threading. I put it on both the threading and what was going on it. And the pieces just went down and fit together very easily. Now it does have an extremely strong odor, so I would suggest using this in an outdoor or an open area, open a window or something, and use some type of mask because the smells that come off of this are, I'm assuming that they're very dangerous. The next thing I made sure I had on hand was wood filler. Now I had to use a compact circular saw to cut my smaller wood pieces. I did not have access to a table saw. And what that means is, because me and straight lines don't get along, a lot of the times my pieces weren't straight. Now they were straight enough to connect them together, but when you connected them, there were little gaps. So I put in some wood filler, let it dry, and you would never know. So if you're worried about something looking a certain way, which I am just because I'm a perfectionist, but I couldn't perfect cutting a straight line, wood filler is the way to go. Now the paint color that I got here, I used Bare Ultra Interior Eggshell paint. Now I used to work in the paint department at Home Depot, so I will always, always, always vouch for Bare. I love Bare products. I only bought a quart. I was going to get satin, but they were out of the base that I needed for the satin, so I just went with eggshell, which is just another sheen down, which kind of doesn't really matter. But I got a quart and I still have like about half of a quart left, and I've painted this entire thing. The only thing I didn't really paint was the underside of this, but everything else got paint. So this is about $16 for a quart. Okay, the wood filler, I don't remember how much this cost, but I got it at Home Depot, and I don't think it cost that much. Do make sure you sand your surfaces before you paint. Just prep your surface. If you make tumblers, you know you got to prep the surface. So same thing when you're building a turner, just prep the surface. Just sand it, wipe off all the dust, and then you can get to painting. This particular color, if you like this color, it's the color you want. It's called Diva Glam. It's one of Bear's colors. After I put on the paint and let it dry, I then put on this to protect it. This is Varathane. It is water-based and it is satin. It's a satin finish. I put it on to protect the paint and protect the surface. And it'll also make it easier for like cleanup, just in case something were to get on top of this. Easy cleanup, soap and water. And this gives me the satin finish that I couldn't get out of the paint, which is why I said the sheen of the paint doesn't really matter because this went over it anyways. So that's that as far as like the cosmetics of my Turner. All right, so this here is the inside of my Turner. This is, I guess, if you want to call it the guts, right? So I'm going to try and briefly explain exactly what I did here. Let me preface this by saying I am not an electrician. I have a friend who is knowledgeable in the electrical world, and he explained stuff to me, and then I went from there and connected everything. But I just say that to say, like, you know, do your research or have someone professional do it. I'm comfortable in what I did. I plugged everything in. It works just fine. So let's get started. So as you can see, I got the TYC motors, the 5 to 6 revolutions per minute. I just wanted the faster of the two because that's just what I'm comfortable with. So on each of these boxes, this is a smart switch. So it's the Wi-Fi switch where you can like download an app and set a timer and turn it off remotely and all this other stuff. That's why this is a little more complicated than, you know, had you just gotten a regular toggle switch. But this is a smart switch. And then, sorry, excuse my chair. It's all being connected to a three-prong power cord, right? Because I needed a neutral wire, and I'm going to explain neutral, like all of that right now. So you know that the motor, it comes with two blue wires that come out of the motor, right? So I took the left wire and connected it to the load. So basically your load is whatever you need the switch to power. I need the switch to power my motor. So one of my motor wires needs to go to the load, right? So left to load. The next wire I did is the neutral wire. The neutral wire is the white wire. So your other blue wire coming from your motor is going to connect to your neutral wire that comes from your switch. Now, what I did is I used some wire nuts, and I basically connected the two white wires here so that I can bring it over to the cord that's in the middle. And I did that for all three, I guess, sets. So I have these two, these two, these two. That's 3 sets. I took the 2 wires. What I did, I took my one white wire from this switch, connected it to this blue wire coming out of this motor, right? This lighter blue wire here is just regular wire that I bought from Home Depot. It's blue casing with a copper wire inside of it, but I wire nut that to connect to the same thing, the same neutral wire, the same right blue out of this one. I connected it all here, and then I now have one that's coming over to meet in the middle. Okay, so the next wire I did is the ground wire. That's the green wire. Sorry. The next wire I did is the ground wire. That's the green wire. I could have did this a different way, but I didn't, and I didn't want to. I basically just did it by wrapping the wire around a screw and a washer and mounting that to my Turner, right? And then the last wire that comes out of this box is the black wire. That is the live wire. That's the power, right? So what I did was I took the 2 black wires from this group, right? These 2. I took the 2 black wires, a wire nut with this same extra blue wire that I got, and I took all that, and it comes to meet over here in the middle. And that's the same setup that I did for all 3 groups. Now, as I was getting over there, I was kind of running out of wire. Things got a little shorter. I'm not going to get into that. Just make sure you have enough of this spare wire here that you're going to, so you can bring everything to meet with your power cord. So I'm going to go over that one more time. So you have your left wire from the motor goes to load. Okay, so left to load. Your right wire goes to neutral. So right to white, because your white wire is neutral, right to white. Okay. You're going to take those white connections and you're going to make sure that you connect it so you can connect it to this white wire that comes out of your power cord, because all the neutral needs to come to this white neutral wire. Okay. So right to white, and make sure all of that can come over, right, and connect to this. Okay. Your next wire, your green wire, your ground, green is ground. You can ground it by putting it on a screw in a washer, or your other option is to ground it by connecting these and bringing them also over to here, because there is a green wire that comes out of your power cord that you can connect to your ground. But I didn't do that. I just connected to a screw. And then the last wire is your black wire. That's your power. That's your live. So you're going to bring the two black wires, again, connect it with the blue wire, and bring that all the way over. And that's going to connect to the black wire that comes out of your power cord. Everything is literally color coordinated, so you can't really mess up. Your red is your load that doesn't connect to anything but the motor. But everything else, where like your neutral wire, your white goes and connects to the white. The black connects to the black. Your green, it can connect to the green, or you can do how I did and just ground it with a screw and a washer. So I hope all that made sense. If you have any questions, you can ask. But again, I'm not an electrician. I got advice from a friend, and then I went from there. But everything's working for me. So, yeah. And just so that you guys know that I'm not trying to like fool you or anything, all of the switches do actually work. The motors themselves are actually pretty quiet. I don't know if you just heard that, but when you make these holes to support your pipe, they can't be too, did it again. They can't be too tight because it rubs up against the wood. And what happens is, one, you hear that noise, but then two, they actually shake. I don't know if you'll see it with this one. I haven't filed it down yet. But this one makes a noise and this one shakes. To fix that, just file down the hole and you'll be fine. Don't file it down so much where it's no longer supporting, but file it down so that you don't have to deal with that noise. Now, the reason I chose smart switches is because you can put a timer on them. You can even set up the timer remotely. So you can put a timer on them. So, you know, after about 4 to 6 hours, the epoxy is already tacky and it's ready to just, cure for the next 3 days. No more dripping. If you forget to set a timer, but say you leave the house or something like that, you can turn off the motor remotely. It's just it's a convenience. You don't have to use them. You can use a regular toggle switch. I just decided to be difficult. But I also want to plug in the fan for you so you can actually hear the fan. I wouldn't say it's super loud, but it does have some noise to it. So you hear it building up. That's one fan on. It only got a little bit louder, but that's 2 fans on. The fans I don't have set up to a switch. I might do that at a later date. As of right now, I just plug them in. Keep it simple. Now, I do want to be completely honest with you guys. Um, Not including the tools, the power tools that I had to buy. This particular project cost me, outside of that, this particular project cost me about $440. Um, and that's give or take, but it's, excuse me, that's give. Because it is about at that number. Um, but it does not have to cost you that much. Okay. So I used smart switches. These smart switches cost significantly more than a regular toggle switch. I believe in total they cost me $80 for the smart switches. You save yourself $80. You can go get regular toggle switches and cut your costs. Okay. Also, with the arms, you don't have to use plumbing pieces. The plumbing pieces cost me about $60. Not including the pipes. I'm just talking about like the bushing and the donut. Excuse me, the donut and the coupling. It cost me about $60 because they're what, 5 pieces of about $5 a piece. Had to get 12 pieces. So you can cut costs by just getting I know people still use footballs. They use footballs and what is it called? The pool noodles, right? So you can cut costs there. With the fans, again, you don't have to get the fans. The fans cost me $34 because I had to get 2 of them and they're sold separately. There's no like combo pack. So, you save money there. So you don't have to do exactly what I did. I just knew what I wanted and I was willing to shell out the money for it. But if I knew what I wanted, but knew that I also had to keep my costs low, I would have gotten different switches. I would have stuck to the footballs and I would have gotten heat sinks instead of fans. Or I just would have made my back open face to give the motors air to breathe. So I just wanted to make sure you guys are knowing, like, if you want to do this, exactly what you're getting yourself into. But the thing is, even though this cost me about $440, I would make that money back with the tumblers that I sell. Okay, so I'm not tripping off the cost because I'm going to make that money back. That's how you have to look at it when you have a business. Like, you're investing in your business. I've invested in my business and I know I'm going to make that money back. So it seems like a lot, but think of it as a drop in the bucket. Maybe it'll help you feel better. So if you have made it through to the end here of this video, thank you so much for watching. I do apologize that this couldn't be something where you watched me build the entire thing. But like I said, when I was building this, I was more so just focused on actually building it. I didn't know I was going to do a tutorial. But if you do have any questions, definitely feel free to ask them down in the comments. I tried to be as detailed as I could in this video, but I know I probably missed or skipped over something. But yeah, if you plan to build a 6-cup turner, I do hope that this helped you out a lot. You guys have a great night.